Hello. Sorry for the delay, but I'm afraid my graphics card is getting ready to die on me. So I don't know what I'm going to do because that will impact the quality of my videos a lot. Um, so let's start working on putting that brooch together. First of all, I will show you how to make a really neat, very fine um, bezel that will make everything look like it's made out of real metal or at least precious metal clay. So just grab, we will make a mold. Just grab a piece of high fran, grab a piece of scrap clay and run it through the machine on the thickest setting that you have. And you want it to be at least 5 inches long, at least that. Hello, hello, bonjour everybody. Once you get it on the, again, on the thickest setting, and it will require a little bit of detail work, but it will be worth it because it will give you forever, you know, good evening, a forever pretty bezel. So what we need to do, again, piece of scrap clay that is fairly long, and my camera is not focusing. Hello, hello. Oh, come on. See, when I'm upset, I upset the electronics in my house. I may even known of starting my washing machine just by passing near it. Okay, so what we need is to stack because we want something that would be fairly thick, so it would hold up. Don't do this with bake and bend. This is one of the times that you cannot really do it with bake and bend because bake and bend cannot hold very, 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 very fine detail. Again, hello to everybody I didn't say hello to. So we stack and with a lot of care to not trap any air pockets. And we can even flatten it a bit and then cut it again so it would be nice and straight. And then what we need for this is simply a smallish bowl stylus and something that would be perfectly straight and a little bit thin, like a credit card edge or something similar. The back of the blade is a little bit too thin for that. Good morning, everybody, again. So, but we can use the blade for the first part of it. So we choose a bowl stylus, again, that's on the smallish side, but not super small. For example, out of these two, and of course you can choose a smaller one if you want to make a smaller one, but out of these two, I'm going to choose this one. It's a tad bigger. And what I'm going to do is to make a line of dots as evenly spaced as I can. And I'm going to try and make them. Now I'll have to take out my eyeglasses, so for a while I won't be able to see the chat. And space them as evenly as you can. Following the line. And you can put them more close to each other if you want, or more spaced out. The important part is to do it as evenly as you can. If you need to, You can use a ruler if that helps you to do the more even spacing, and try to do it at the same depth. So it will look something like, I'm going to try and make my camera focus, something like this. Come on, camera, come on. And you need to reload, Alice. Try reloading the page and that should come up for you. Okay, just. Okay, so this is what you're supposed to get. Again, if you need a ruler to space them more evenly, use a ruler. Then we are going to get something that would be thin like a credit card, or you can use, for example, this, or another thing you can use, and I forgot to bring it, just a second. And I will show you, we will make two, so I can show you how to make it in different ways. The best thing to use if you have whatchamacallit, a bread knife, is this, because it's perfectly straight and it's pretty much as thick as you want it. Now, I did not position this one very nicely because it's going to be hard to use the bread knife on it. So position it again and get it straight, and then simply get your bread knife at a straight distance from your, trying to get this to work, and then push it down equally on each side, which I did not do right now. Let me try again. Sorry, my hands have been a mess lately. Okay, and then do the same on the other side. You can use, if you have a piece of wire that's perfectly straight, you can use that. So we got the first bezel type. Can you see it? And then let's make another one, and I'll show you another trick. But with this one, you'll get the dots a little bit more sharp. It's much easier to make now. It's way much easier to make. And again, we get a scrap. Hello again to everybody who came in and I didn't see. And again, get a fairly longish piece. Get it through the pasta machine on the thickest setting. And we will do the same thing, double it up. Place it with great care not to get air pockets in it. And then flatten it to make sure that you have no air pockets. Cut it to size. It doesn't really have to be perfectly rectangular or anything. And then one thing that you can use to make a very easy dotted line is this. But you'll need a comb that is straight, because you know how you have some combs that are like this or some that are like this. So you'll need one that's very straight, and it's up to you what you choose to do. If you choose the smallest tines, or if you use the biggest tines. So of course I can only use this part, so that's what I'm going to do. But this one, again, you'll get the dots a little bit thinner. And again, hello everybody, bonsoir tout le monde. And just press down and see how we have an absolutely almost perfect, because the end time here is a little messed up. And if you want, you can actually add smaller dots on the side. But again, we can use, and I will show you what happens if you try to use this one. It will still come up, and it will still come up quite pretty, but it will be very, very thin. On one side, and then on the other one, on the other side, I will use a thicker line. Again, I need to move this vertically so I can use the and place. The best way to realign this, because once you remove it, it's going to go all wonky. Flatten a little bit so this will hold onto the table, and then just pull here, and it will become straight. And then what we do, again, we take the knife, and you'll be able to do it much better than me, because I told you, for some reason, I don't have a lot of hand strength. And you just press down to create a line. I seem to be pressing down more with my left. And we have a second bezel. And this we just go ahead and bake. And while they are baking, we are going to start putting the brooch together. We might actually be able to do 2 brooches. I'll be right back. Let me go put these in the oven. Okay, and I got all the little flowers ready to be set. And if you haven't watched the past 2 lives, you can watch them afterwards to see how to make these. These ones are made with, I forgot if this one, this might be with Premo. This is Premo, but this is Pardo. And just to be able to do proper, because for some reason the white Premo is again very stretchy and it's very, very hard to work with. It happened last year in summer that there was a whole batch of stretchy white Premo, and it's not that it's too soft, because leaching would solve that, but I don't even know how to explain it. It's very, very stretchy and it's very hard to work with. And when it, see, look, this is absolutely not conditioned. See how much it stretches? And it's very hard to work with it, especially to make canes. Look at this. And it's not because it's too soft, because it doesn't feel soft. And I tried leaching it, and it doesn't work. It's the same thing. And as I said, when you bake it, it feels almost like, I mean, I know polymer clay is plastic, but it feels like that cheap vinyl kind of stuff. And that is something that I absolutely abhor. It's that's the main thing that you always have to avoid when working with polymer clay, because it's very easy to to get to that finished product, um, is to get your piece looking like cheap plastic. Just because that's nice, Santa. Just because it is plastic when you work with it, and uh, you have to try and avoid making it look like plastic. Okay, so that's why we work so much on techniques on how to make it look like this and how to make it look like this, so it wouldn't look like plastic. Now, I have this scrap clay that looks a little bit like regular green, but I'm not going to use scrap because not everybody has the same color of scrap that I have, right? So, do you want to do the next in Premo or in Pardo? And that is wonderful. Yeah, you probably didn't get yet the new batch getting there, Fran. You'll probably get it later. But yeah, I will have to check on the. Unfortunately, I don't have the wrapping anymore from the one of last year to check the numbers. But okay, so let's do some Primo. Now, the ones of you who have gone on my website know that there are some leaf canes for beginners there, and you can use that if this seems a little bit too hard for you. Okay, but we are going to make some leaves that look a little bit more natural, because if you put a lot of work into making your flowers look more natural, why not do the same for the leaves? So let me run this quick through the pasta machine. So what I have here is wasabi, green, jungle, and burnt umber. Yeah, that's a lot of watching considering how many there are out there. Now, let's do a little bit of, if you look at the leaves, you'll see that there are all kinds of patterns on them. So why don't we make one of those patterns? And in order to make a very, very realistic pattern, let's, for example, combine the, what did I do with my number? Oh, it's under here. The wasabi and the jungle. So what I'm going to do is to simply cut a strip of approximate equal, not approximate, of equal size. And if you want to cut the pieces that are of equal size, what you do, you put the one here. And there you have two pieces that are of equal size. And then in order to make a simplified iCat, I have a tutorial on that, and it's both on YouTube and on my, it's easier to find on my website because it's under the beginner's techniques. And I will move this to the pasta machine for a little bit. Actually, no, there's no reason because I'm going to go just once with it each time. Just get it through thinner thickness. Okay, we have this. I got, that was on the thickest, and now I got it on the thinnest setting. And all I'm going to do is to actually stack it and try to go line on line, but you don't have to be too super careful. What you need to be super careful is about not trapping air pockets. Okay, here I went a little bit too much. And then cut again, stack again. Cut again. Stack again. Now, as you can see, I have a lot that's been widened out. And I practically need mostly the middle here. So what I'm going to do is to cut the ends. Put them together. Now I stacked this 4 times. Thinned and stacked 4 times. I cannot put these stacked here because these are much thicker than the stacks in here. So I'm going to first run them through the pasta machine on a thin setting and make sure that they are well stuck together, otherwise they'll split when you run them through the pasta machine. And we do the same thing. Don't fan fold, just stack. And again, it's fine if you don't do a perfectly line on line, because that's the whole idea. That's what we are trying to obtain an ICAT here. And now we can flatten it again. And stack it again. And at this point, it should be about as thin as the other stack. Pretty much. And we'll do one more flattening and stacking. And you will see what is going to happen here. And this time we are going to take the stacking to oblivion. Now remember, what you didn't use yet is still perfectly pristine, and you can cut it away and add it to your jungle or respectively wasabi stack. But let's see what happened here. This is what happened here. If my camera wants to focus. Come on. See, we got an ICAT cane. And what we are going to do is to actually transform this little by little into an upstanding cane. Just by simply pushing it on the sides. See, we got now a longish ICAT cane. The next will be to mirror it. And to mirror it, we cut it in two. And we put the two halves together with the wasabi in the center. And then we keep getting it smaller again. You see, I just press it like this. If you have the square pairs, you can use the square pairs. And now we need it longer on this side, like this. So I'm going to actually cut it in four. And we have this. And this we will reduce. But before starting to reduce it, first of all, make it rectangularly perfect. Not perfect, but as close as you can get. After which, get it a little bit shorter because you want these nervures to be really, really tiny. to look like the ones in a real leaf. And then watch this. Let me see. I'm gonna wait for the camera to focus properly. Bring these by pulling. Bring these in. Come on, camera. So just pull on the edges, on the sides, and bring these in. And now you have this. Now simply just push in to make a longish oblong cane. And you can start even pulling on it. But the idea is to reduce it like this. And it doesn't have to be perfectly geometrical because we are talking about nature here, right? The thing is that you just need to reduce it. So just push on the pinch and push, pinch and push, pinch and push until you get it to where you can cut it in about, I don't know, 8 should be just fine. So half, 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 half. And now put the sides are a little bit smaller, right? So grab the middles. And you'd have to get them like this. The middles, keep them for the middle of the leaf. The very ends for the top and respectively the bottom. And we start with the top. First, put them together at one end and then gently bring them over and put them together in a new oblong thing. Then grab the next one, flatten it a bit, put it at the end, and then gently bring it over. Take the one on the other side, flatten it a bit, get it on one end, and then gently bring it over. And we do the same thing here. Because by now your clay should be soft enough to be able to do all this. So you stick it at the very end, make sure it's flattened enough, and then gently bring it over. Once you get to the very last ones, get your leaf a little bit more oblong so that you can pinch this in a more pointy, like this. Come on, camera. Like this. And then you get these again a little bit. But you want these to be slightly slanted compared to the other ones. And we got a new leaf. You always can use your roller to straighten it out, and then just to reduce it a little bit, you can again pinch, push. That's the way to reduce an oblong, but this should be good enough for our leaves. And you can do the same thing with using 3 colors, like wasabi, green, and jungle, or any combination of these 4 colors that I've shown you, and they will make a very nice and very realistic leaf, which you'll see once we cut it. Now let's go ahead and start putting a brooch together. And for this, I will be using some scrap clay. And we need to get it on the thickest setting. And for this, we will use, I don't know, have anybody shown you how to do the little domed out of domed baking things? These ones you can make out of beer or soda cans. What you do is just cut the bottom and you get this. And you can make a bazillion of them and have as many domed beads as you want. What I always suggest is to put a little bit of Armor All on it. You know that I use Armor All as a release agent. And then I'm not going to make a bigger one. You can make it as big as you want, of course. But the thing is that we want a domed surface that would be hollow inside, because once it's baked, we can fill the hollow with more clay and place the brooch pin there. So we just grab this, cut a piece of it, and then place it on here. What you want to do now at this point, because you will have the bezel coming around it, and if you leave it like this, can you see how the edge is slanted? And it's slanted like this. So the moment you'll try to put a bezel here, it will not look pretty. So grab this and cut again. And then you can use your X-Acto to get any leftovers, because the moment you cut with the cutter, you will make this straight. And just to be on the safe side, you can go around with your blade to make sure that the angle of the edge is perfectly vertical. Because once you will fill it and will put the brooch pin, it will have to be perfectly horizontal like this. So you want this to be vertical. So once you place the bezel, it will be horizontal on the brooch pin. Now here we can do, and this is just temporary, you'll have to finish it every time you do something on this. Now, why I said it doesn't matter what you use, because here now we come and we do all kinds of embellishments that we, as we seem fit. So we can do little textures, we can do little molds, and then we will cover them with something. Let me go grab open the oven so that can cool off. Okay, I got them out and they are on the tile here. Now, as I said, you can use any kind of texture you want. I'll just use the sponge. And everybody asked me, where do you get these sponges? You get them on Donna Cato's website, and it's a set of 3 of different sizes. This one is the thickest with the biggest holes. So see, it texturizes very nicely. Very, very nicely. And we'll cut this again to make sure that it stayed the same round. And we go around it again with the blade. After which you can use whatever you want to color these things, chalk, pastel. I wouldn't suggest the Pearlex or Perfect Pearls mica powder. I'm just going to use this is a cosmetic grade mica, and you can get them from Nurture Soap. Cosmetic grade micas are way finer than the regular mica, and they have a very, very discreet sheen. But you can use a chalk pastel just as well. And see, we have colored our background. Preferably it is if you do a spring brooch, it's preferable, of course, to use something green. And I apologize that I'm not very chatty with what's going on in the chat, but I'm trying to cram everything so I don't start hurting before I'm done. And once I'm almost done, I'll be able to take a breath and, you know, wait for a bit. Okay, now that we got this, remember that you will need bacon bond or liquid clay to put everything on this, because now you have powder and your elements will not stick if you have just plain powder. I'm going to try and cut this even if it is fairly warm. And I'm using one of those Gilly blades that are the best thing since sliced bread, to slice canes and to do like in mokumegane when you need to shave, or in mica shift when you need to shave, because they are exceptionally fine and exceptionally sharp. So you can pretty much cut slices that are less than 0.5 millimeter thick. I'm not going to go for less than 0.5 millimeter thick here. And whenever you cut something that's oblong, if you don't want to deform it, or also on a lozenge type, you place it like this with one of the sides on the table, and then you cut like this, going like this. So your, let's say your table, let's say we look from the side. This is your table, this is your piece. Your blade has to come like this to cut it without causing too much deformation. Now, once we got our leaf, of course, you can manipulate it a bit. You can even use a veiner on it if you have one. Or you can just simply vein it with your tools, or as I showed you before, with your hand. Just find a place on your hand that's got a lot of creases and wrinkles. If you're older, it's even easier. But it doesn't matter the age. the crinkles in the palm of your hand don't really appear with age. You have them since you're a baby. But they make absolutely beautiful veining on leaves and flowers. I'm going to try and see if I can angle the camera so you can see if it wants to focus. Can you see veining on it? Not a lot. There you go. See, it's got veining. And of course, if you want, you can enhance the middle veining just a little bit and go on these. And then simply hate it when they are less than half full. Just place it on your brooch. As I said, we'll probably be able to make 2 brooches with all the stuff that's here. Now let's see, do we want another one? I don't think we want another one. Now this I made it to look very cute, but the problem is that if you're going to put a flower like this on a brooch, this will stick out and will kind of get hanging on pretty much everything. So what you might want to do is to gently squeeze it down and make this flower more of a profile flower, which is not very hard to do. And this being Pardo, it's quite easy to manipulate without getting out of shape. I mean, without breaking or anything. Just make sure that you always place bake and bond wherever you want to place something. And then let's place the white one here, and then the other one will make it with the earlier spring flowers, but we'll do the exact same thing. And you always, when you do this, you want to wait a bit because they will have the tendency to slide out. So give the bake and bond or liquid clay time to thicken out a little bit, because you might have the surprise of the pieces sliding out while before they get baked and fused. So just let it be for a little bit. So this would be one of the brooches, and I'm afraid I didn't bring 2 can ends. Okay, so let's grab another one and do pretty much the same thing. Why I always place a little bit of armor roll, because it makes it easier to get the clay off the baking shape. So go right in the middle. And of course you can do the texturing first and then refine the... But if you decide to not texture and you use a regular color clay of your choice, then you'll have to do the cutting. So you see how it got deformed, and just go ahead and use the cutter again. Lift the whole thing. Oh well. Get back there. And then this time I'm going to use a different mica powder. You might want to check her. The only thing is that she's got a $15 minimum order, but the mica powders are awesome. I'm going to use a black pearl this time. It will give it a more, a more earthy look with a little bit of sparkle. And always clean your fingers from mica powders and acrylic with alcohol, as they come off right away, even if they got under your nail. Okay, so this is how it looks with the black pearl. It's a very, very, very fine shimmering. Or another thing that you can use, and it's way cheaper even than the cosmetic grade mica powder, is just go to the dollar store and buy a few eye makeup kits for just $1. They have the perfect shimmering, very fine mica powder in there. You don't need anything else for this type of effects. You don't need to spend a whole bunch of money on expensive mica powders. Now let's cut another leaf. Actually, I think for this one I'm going to cut 2 leaves. And always when you cut the second slice, change the angle. Don't cut on the same side, put it on the other side. And now we have 2 pretty leaves. And as I said, you can manipulate them a little bit. And you can do the middle vein. And then just vein it on your hand, wherever you think you have more creases. Let's do the other one before I place the bacon bond. Hi, Carol, and hi everybody who came before I said hi the last time. And once again, I'm not very chatty because I'm trying to cram as much as possible before I start hurting and have to stop the live. So now I got these. And again, place some bacon bond. The thing is that now we will put the flowers directly on the leaves, so the flowers will not need bacon bond. Just the leaves will need bacon bond. And I will do a short live later, sometime in the week, to show you how to put the bezel on and the whatchamacallit, the pin. So we go like this. Always use the middle vein to make sure that you've got your leaf well attached. And let's place one of the violets here. And I'm going to place first the little itty bitty things, because after that, after I place the other violet, it's going to be hard to place them. Now, if you remember, these were, I'm going to try and see if the camera wants to focus properly. These were those little grape hyacinths, the wild hyacinths, had two different colored flowers, those little flowery-like things that were lighter on top and a deeper violet on the bottom with a little fringe of lavender-like violet. Oh, come on. So this is how I am placing them to form a little grape-like structure. And because it's raw clay on raw clay, I don't have to worry about the bacon bond. And also being Pardo, it's going to be extremely resilient after baking, even if it is very thin. I'm trying to give the whole thing. I will lift it once it's done. I'll lift it and try and do a good close-up on it. Oh, come on. And then we will set the other violet. And before placing the little lily of the valley, fluff a bit the petals on the violets, because you want them to have a more natural look. And then we'll place the lily of the valley here. It needs a little bit of something in the middle. And just grab a, actually I have some orange here. Just a tiny dot of orange that I'm going to place right here. And that will also ensure that the flower is well in the middle. Okay, I think that the camera focused pretty good. So this would be one of them. And you can see from the profile, it's also pretty cute. And this is the other one. Now this will go for baking. And before I end this, because I'm coming up to the hour, again, I said, I'm not sure. Tuesday I have a doctor's appointment, so definitely not. Maybe tomorrow, maybe Wednesday, I'll do a small continuation of this to show you how to put things together. But before I end this, I want to show you how the bezels look like. This one wasn't very good because I couldn't press properly. But just to make a little demonstration of those bezels. And let me grab a pinch of mica, silver mica or gold mica, whatever. Okay, I got some Aztec gold. Should have gone copper, but it will work nevertheless. Always, whenever you're dealing with textures made out of polymer clay, you always want to use release agent because they will not let go as the silicone ones do. And then you can just place it. And the good part is that you can actually use your fingers to make sure that you get a good mold. Clean it. And then you just cut at the ends of it. And I made these a little bit bigger than I normally make them. I normally put the line much closer to the dots. But to show you how it looks when it's done and when it's metallicized. So once you do, we will not use this, we'll probably use some silver. I'm not sure yet. But just to show you how it looks once it's done and metallicized. It looks very pretty and very metallic-y and normal bezel-like. And it's easy to blend the ends whenever you have ends because you have the cut between the dots. Okay, close this and then I'll do a close-up. So whenever you use it to surround something, let's say that I want to surround this, and I'm going to actually use this, and then I'm going to use this, because I have two dots. So you can use it for both round and square bezeling. Let me see if my camera is going to want to do anything worthwhile. See how it looks exactly like a metal bezel that you can do by yourself and you don't have to worry about. And then you can use any metallic powder to do this. So now we got these done, and I will again make another short live to show you how to fill the back, put the brooch pinion and put the bezel on. Of course, you don't have to make a bezel on this. you can just fill the end, and on one we'll do a bezel and on one we will not, to see how they look like with and without bezel. So it will be up to you which of them you want to choose. But I wanted to show you this, and I'll make, I mean, I think I have somewhere better one made. Um, I'll, I'll have the better ones like this, because normally, as I said, you need to make the line thinner than I did here and deeper than I did, and place it closer to the dots than it is on these pieces. But essentially, that's what you do. You either use your little ball stylus, or you, this is with the ball stylus, this is with the comb, or you either use a comb and then something very straight and thin, not as thin as the blade, because you can see here how it's a little bit too thin to look properly well. But yeah, that's it. And now I need to go finish cooking my Easter uh, lunch thing. So I hope you have a great Sunday, and thank you for being here with me. And I hope you'll have fun making your little spring brooches. Have a wonderful Sunday. Merci, Cécile. Thank you. Goodbye.